And then finally, it all blew up on the red carpet when he tried to say something nice. And then she's just like, oh my God, when I'm talking, you're not talking. But the way she did it, I can guarantee you, boys, she does not respect him. And this is his fault. He did not set boundaries in the beginning of the relationship, such as, hey, do not speak to me like that ever again, or we are going to part ways.
Welcome to the Unapologetic Man podcast, the only podcast that's all about self-improvement, confidence, success, women, and being a man without making any apologies for it.
What is up, you legends? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the UMP. I really appreciate you. Happy Monday. How'd the weekend go for you, brother? I hope you did well. I hope you met all the girls you wanted to meet, and you've been improving your skills with women so much, in fact, that you're attracting higher quality, hotter girls consistently. If I'm able to assist you in that in any way whatsoever, I feel really good about that, and hopefully that's the truth for you. So I hope you're doing well, man. Sincerely, I wish you nothing but the best. So today, boys, it's Monday. We're probably not too pumped. We're back at work. So we're going to kind of take it easy today and just have a entertaining episode about how Alec Baldwin and Will Smith are fucking beta cucks. Now, I hate to attack these guys because honestly, I really like them. I'm actually a really big fan of Will Smith. I think he's confident. I think he's alpha. I think he's a fabulous actor. And I was so disappointed to see what he did at the Emmys or the Golden Globes or whatever it was, where he slapped Chris Rock upside the face because Chris Rock said a joke about Will Smith's wife, Jada Smith, and Will Smith got all butthurt and wanted to protect her because of the history that they have, namely of which Will Smith being a beta cuck, giving her the power and basically creating a dynamic in their relationship based off his own neediness. Now, I'm not exactly sure what happened with Alec Baldwin, but I do have some theories. I also want to tell you guys what I would do in both situations. I'm not necessarily saying it's the right move, but I feel like it's the only move, especially because these chicks, particularly Alec Baldwin's wife, put him in a situation where he really didn't have anything else he could do. I mean, she completely fucked him over in front of millions of people. Honestly, if that happened to me, I'm going to tell you exactly what I would do to my wife if she did that to me. Berated me in front of millions of people. There would absolutely be consequences for that. So first, we're going to talk about what happened with Alec Baldwin and his wife, Hilaria, I guess is her name. And then we're going to talk about Will and Jada Smith. That's a really interesting situation. Probably a lot of stuff you guys don't know. I'm a nerd when it comes to this shit, man. I absolutely love attraction. I love relationships. I love thinking about what happened here that created this dynamic. So I went down the rabbit hole for you boys. I did a ton of research on this. It interests me, man. And my girlfriends always laugh at me. They're like, dude, you're like a chick. You love this relationship stuff. And I do, man. That's why I'm in the right job. This is my passion. I love teaching boys how to become more attractive to women. And I love how relationship dynamics play out between couples, especially in the beginning, man. I could just watch a dude approach a girl and be like, oh, he's doing that right. He's doing that right. He's doing this wrong. He's doing this wrong, and see how it plays out. And usually I'd say 95% of the time, I can predict it with utmost certainty just based on how he carries himself, etc. And that's why I feel I'm a great dating coach. In fact, not to toot my own horn or go down Flex Avenue, but I feel like I'm the best dating coach out there. And that's why my program is so fucking successful. I have literally thousands of reviews, some of which I read on this podcast, but that's a different story. Today, we're taking it easy. Let's talk about Alec Baldwin and his wife, Hilaria Baldwin, which is pretty hilarious because she fucking bitch slapped this dude right on public television in front of hundreds of millions of people. She berated this dude. So here's what happened. They're at the Golden Globes or the Emmys or some shit, and they're on the red carpet. The lady is interviewing Hilaria, which is Alec Baldwin's wife, about some show she just did. Now, as they're talking, Alec Baldwin is kind of interrupting a little bit. So the interviewer is asking Hilaria about her show, and then Alec Baldwin pipes up and says, oh, it should just be the Hilaria show. Now, at that moment, you could tell she's a little bit annoyed, but she doesn't say anything, and the conversation continues. Then, as she asks her another question, Alec Baldwin interrupts again and says basically something like, "You're amazing, you're awesome." And then she literally says, boys, "Oh my God, when I'm talking, you're not talking. When I'm talking, you're not talking." And she berates the shit out of this dude. And he just stands there with his tail between his legs, looking completely bitch slapped, which you can tell this isn't the first time she's done that to him. He allowed this dynamic to be set up in his relationship from the very beginning. So what he does is he stands there, berated, and then at the end, you can kind of start to see him walk off, which I personally feel was the right move. But what do you do in that situation, bro? When your woman berates you, not only in front of millions of people, but perhaps you're with your friends, and she's like, "Shut up when I'm talking," or she throws you under the bus. And actually on Thursday's podcast, please stay tuned for that one, I am going to have an open letter to women. We are doing a podcast for women to tell them not to do shit like that to us, because a man's reputation, particularly how his woman treats him, is one of the most important things to him. Alec Baldwin, the dude is an A-list celebrity. You could probably visualize his face just by me saying his name, just got bitch slapped by his woman in front of millions of people. How do you think that makes him feel? It makes him feel horrible. It makes him feel lowly. It makes him feel disrespected. It makes him feel like he lost reputation in the eyes of others. I mean, I'm doing a podcast right now basically calling him a beta cuck. That wouldn't have happened unless she berated him on the red carpet the way she did. Now, in her defense, I can almost guarantee you he does this to her all the time. He's always interrupting. He's not listening to her. He's not probably respecting her own success, and he's always being irritating to her. So she was probably already at wit's end with this dude. I can only imagine they were in the car ride coming over and he kept interrupting her, and she's like, "Dude, stop interrupting me." And then finally it all blew up on the red carpet when he tried to say something nice. And then she's just like, "Oh my God, when I'm talking, you're not talking." But the way she did it, I can guarantee you, boys, she does not respect him. And this is his fault. He did not set boundaries in the beginning of the relationship, such as, "Hey, I don't appreciate it when you talk to me like that. Do not speak to me like that ever again, or we are going to part ways." It's not a threat. It's just the truth. I have had to say this to many women. I will not be spoken to that way. I understand that you were frustrated. And even in this situation, boys, he could have apologized. He could have been like, "Yo, I understand that I've been interrupting you. I apologize for that. I need to be more cognizant of your time when you're talking. But just to let you know, the way you came at me with that negative energy, I'm not going to stand for that. I'm not going to be in a relationship where I'm treated like this. So I will do much better not interrupting you moving forward. But I want to work with you on you also not berating me in that way, because honestly, it just kills my attraction. It makes me want to leave. I do not appreciate being treated that way." Now, in Alec Baldwin's case, you can tell just by his reaction that this wasn't the first time. It was almost like a dog jumping up on the table, trying to grab a piece of food off the table. And the owner's like, "You, off the table." And he just sits there berated, but you could tell it's happened many times before, not even trying to defend himself. So he kind of meanders off, and then that's that. She probably continued to berate him in the limousine on the way home. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry. I just do that." He just looks like he's been bitch slapped and fucking whipped into subservience. And that absolutely, boys, is not what you want to have happen, because yeah, you'll be the beta cuck too. Women are going to test your boundaries in the first 2 weeks to 2 months of your relationship. They're going to see what they can get away with, and they should, because they need to determine if you're going to stand up for yourself or not. Now, obviously, he has a lot of value. He's a movie star. He's a multimillionaire. I'm sure he has a lot of charisma. I mean, you can think about the dude. He's a fucking cool dude. He's good looking. He's fucking charismatic. He's funny as hell. He's got seemingly a good frame, good confidence, but she tested him, boys, and he let her get away with it. Now, immediately when I saw that thing, I was like, "Oh my God, I've had so many girls like that." And I immediately knew, I'm like, this chick's from the East Coast. I could just tell this chick's from the East Coast. So I looked it up, and she's from Boston. She's kind of got that Boston swag about her. But as I'm going to talk about on Thursday, ladies, if you're listening, you cannot berate your man. You cannot throw him under the bus, especially in front of millions of people. Whether or not he'd actually break up with you over it is one thing, but the other thing I can guarantee is he is going to resent you. So if, for example, women, you're with a man who continuously interrupts you, talk to him about it. But if you're in a public setting, do not berate him in front of millions of people. So what could have Alec Baldwin do? I was thinking about this and I was like, man, there's not much to do. She threw him under the bus in a situation that put him between a rock and a hard place. There's not a lot he could have done. I guess the only thing you could do is kind of laugh and say, yeah, we joke like that all the time. And hopefully she picks up the cue and she says, yeah, I'm just messing around. But even that, you would tell it was fake, right? Like you can't really save it. So what do? I guess you just kind of smile and walk off. He didn't quite smile. He looked more like that dog that just got whipped after he stole a steak off the table. And he just sat in the corner, berated, ostracized, looking like a beta cuck. And then he walked off. I think what I would have done is I would have smiled and just walked off. And she would have known and the audience would have known, dude, Mark does not stand for that behavior. And honestly, boys, I'm going to be 100% real with you. If that happened to me, I would divorce her. I would be like, you're fucking done. I do not stand for this. You have damaged my reputation. You disrespected me in front of millions of people. Did you seriously think that was acceptable behavior? I would be done with this chick. But here's the thing. I would have never married a chick like that in the first place. I've had a girl like that. I've had girls like that who just snapped at me, who tested me, who had that like East Coast Boston shit going on like this chick did. I had this one girl. Her name was Sally. She was exactly like that. And what did I do? I broke up with her ass because I knew if I married her, it would only get worse. I don't want to harsh on marriage. In fact, I believe in it. I think men are supposed to date around as much as possible until they find their queen and then settle down with the girl that's best for him. I believe in marriage. I really do. But I'll tell you what, oftentimes with some chicks, and this is why you need to vet the right girl for you, once you get that rock on their finger, everything fucking changes. Or as my friend said, once you get that rock on the finger, it's like pulling a cord on a life raft. They just blow up and become fat and unattractive because they fucking landed you, bro. You're done. So I would have never married a girl like that who at the very beginning definitely tested Alec Baldwin and he let her get away with it. Why do you do that? Because he hasn't had the training. He's not listening to the UMP like you champions are. Or you fucking absolute legends that songs will be written about, that will be sung around campfires for generations to come, who have come into my coaching program. You would never let that shit slide. You would put the kibosh on it immediately. You need to show women you are not to be fucked with. And he showed her that he can be fucked with. So what's the play, boys? He needs to break up with her. And when he does, she may realize she up and she may go back into her feminine energy, stop trying to vie for the power, stop throwing him under the bus the way she has been, and be a woman who supports her man, which I'm going to talk about on Thursday. A cheerleader, a supporter, a woman who would never, ever, under any circumstance, throw her teammate under the bus in front of millions of people, no matter how frustrated she was. Part of being masculine is holding your temper when you're upset. Part of being feminine as a woman is doing the same thing, rising above your emotions and controlling yourself no matter how frustrated you are. And when it comes to Alec Baldwin, maybe he's thick-headed. Maybe he interrupts her all the time and she's just fed up with it. They need to talk about that shit. And they definitely should have put communication at the forefront of the relationship before getting married. Look at this guy, a multi-millionaire Hollywood A-lister, and he's in this relationship. Boys, I don't care how successful you are. I don't care how much outside worldly experience and outside worldly fame that you have, as well as money. You too can get in this situation with the chick unless you've had the proper training. And I'm telling you guys, right from the beginning, girls are going to test you. You need to show them you're not to be fucked with. Now, in the case of Sally, my ex-girlfriend, who was literally a replica of this chick, Hilaria Baldwin, Alec Baldwin's wife, I broke up with her because she wasn't willing to acquiesce. She was constantly fighting me for the power. She was constantly trying to berate me and trying to change me into something that I wasn't. So I broke up with her. And sometimes you need to do that. You need to vet many women to find the queen for you. And if you guys think that you're going to meet your dream girl on Tinder one day or Hinge or Bumble, honestly, bro, you're fucking delusional. You need to build a skill set where you're literally meeting hundreds, if not thousands of women to pick your queen, because there are not many good ones out there, but they are out there. And you need to build the skill set to find them. That's exactly what we do in my 3-month coaching program. So if you're interested, click the link below and you and I will talk. All right. Jada and Will Smith. Oh my hell, this is some kind of drama. I'm not going to get too deep into it because honestly, it's not that interesting, but here's the basic dynamic. Will Smith has been in love with Jada since they first met. He was probably mildly obsessed with her, and she wasn't as into him as he's into her. What do I always tell you guys? You have to follow the 80-100 rule, which dictates she needs to be more into you than you are into her. Even if you have to, yes, pretend you're not as into her as you actually are. And this is where Will Smith dropped the ball. From the beginning, Jada was not really into him, but he was super into her. But obviously she paired up with him because it's Will Smith. He's good looking, he's charismatic, he's confident. He's made so much money in Hollywood, it's absolutely insane. I bet the guy's worth close to $1 billion at this point with all the movies that he's done. So based on his value in society, she did choose to settle down with him. Here's a weird aspect of the relationship. She never wanted to marry him. He was the one who wanted to get married, and as she explained it, she felt like she was just a member of the Will Smith show. He wanted outside worldly success. He cared a lot what people thought of him. He wanted to have the perfect life. So he literally pushed her to marry him. And she said on her wedding day, she was crying. And during an interview with Will and Jada, Will was like laughing about it. He's like, yeah, she was crying. And I'm like, bro, like you forced her to marry you? What the fuck are you thinking? The woman has to want more than you do, bro. And like the fact that you forced her to marry you is not a good sign. That is not going to go well for you when it all pans out, which is exactly what happened. So they're like married. And then did you guys hear she cheated on him with some dude and she justified it by saying she got into an entanglement? Did you see this shit? Oh, I got into an entanglement, which makes her like the victim. Like, oh, I was entangled in this guy's web of attraction. Oh my God, bro, the way this chick tried to justify it. And Will Smith took her back. In an interview where they were talking about said entanglement, he's like, yeah, but I'm going to win you back one day. Are you fucking kidding me, bro? That is the biggest beta cuck move I've ever heard in my life. You cheated on me and I'm going to try to win you back. Are you fucking high, bro? How much peyote are you smoking? And this is the guy who played Hitch. Did you guys ever see that movie with Will Smith where he's a dating coach for men? He played Hitch, and he's making the most fundamental mistake ever. Letting a woman get away with this kind of behavior and taking her back after she fucking cheats on you is one of the worst things you could ever do when it comes to your relationship. So there he is getting cheated on. There he is with the woman who doesn't love him or even like him more than he likes her, sets up a horrible dynamic. Now, there's actually something interesting with Tupac that I didn't know before I did my deep dive on this. And yeah, guys, I am a loser. I was literally driving around watching YouTube videos about Will and Jada. What a fucking idiot, dude. I'm so into this stuff. So it turns out she was actually mildly obsessed with Tupac. They had this like friendship, and according to her, they never hooked up, but she just loved him so much and they had this like deep connection. And Will Smith knows about that and he's peanut butter and jealous about it. So he wants her to love him the way she loved Tupac, as well as how much she was sexually attracted to that dude she got in the entanglement with, but she doesn't. So he feels insecure. He feels like he wants to prove to her that he's the best man for her. And now comes the joke from Chris Rock, which, as you guys probably remember, he compared her to G.I. Jane because she has alopecia and all her hair is falled out. And in G.I. Jane, I think it was Demi Moore, played a Navy SEAL, which is fucking ridiculous, who shaved her head, right? So Chris Rock made an innocent joke about how Jada Smith looks like the girl on G.I. Jane. Well, Will Smith originally laughed at that joke, looked at his wife, who, and I have to say this, Jada kind of seems like a handful, man. She's like really intense, like really serious. I wouldn't want to be with that kind of girl, just me personally. So he looks at her and she's pissed off. So he wants to defend her. He wants to earn her respect. He wants to win her back after she fucking cheated on him. Ridiculous. So he goes up and he slaps Chris Rock in the face. Like, what world are you living in, bro? Are you even in reality? Like, do these A-list stars even understand how life works? Slapping a dude on national television in front of literally hundreds of millions of people. How is that going to go well for you? So he slaps him. Chris Rock was just like, dude, what do I do in this situation? He did the right thing. He's just like completely perplexed, makes jokes about it later, laughs it off. The only thing you can do, just like what Alec Baldwin should have done, just smile and walk away. And then Will Smith sits down, yells at him, says, keep my wife's name out of your jokes. And here's the funny thing, boys. They weren't even married at that time. So in an interview afterwards, Jada's like, we weren't even married. I'm not even his wife. And he's yelling, keep my wife's name out of your jokes. So much dysfunction. So we have to understand that, first of all, when you get money and fame and success, it doesn't necessarily mean your relationships are going to go well. You still need to work on you, bro. You need to fix the bullshit in your head, because I can guarantee you, Will Smith probably has self-worth issues. And he's attracted to a woman who doesn't accept him, probably because in some way his dad or his mom didn't accept him. So he's hoping he can win over his wife, or I should say girlfriend, Jada Smith, but he can never do so because he hasn't fixed the bullshit in his own head. So he's hitting print on a printer that's continuously spitting out the same results. Him not being worthy, the woman of his dreams not really loving him. It's really fucking sad. And then Jada probably has her own issues, where she can't get a guy who's good enough for her, probably based off, again, her relationship with her dad, who I think was possibly abusive. Don't quote me on that, but there was definitely issues with both their families. Those dysfunctions come out in relationships. He never worked on himself. She never worked on herself, and they have dysfunction there. Probably the same thing with Alec and Hilaria. There's dysfunctions usually stemming from your childhood, which is exactly why in my 3-month coaching program, we tackle that shit frontally. Because I know, brother, after you sleep with tons of chicks and figure out what you like, I know you probably want to settle down with a high quality woman. A lot of you guys want to have a family, but brother, you are the common denominator that's going to dictate your success or failure. If you have not worked on yourself, if you have not faced your traumas and meta programs directly, you are going to continue to attract the same women. You are going to continue to attract the same dysfunctional results. And I hate to say, brothers, but a lot of you aren't going to be able to achieve happiness unless you fix you, which is exactly what we do in my 3-month coaching program. So if you're interested, apply. But again, this one was just supposed to be fun. It was supposed to be interesting. Isn't it amazing how even guys like Will Smith and Alec Baldwin can inadvertently set up dynamics in their relationships where it comes back to bite them in such a gnarly way? They are successful in a lot of ways, but when it comes to their relationships, they are beta cucks and they are not successful. Can they change it? Absolutely. It's going to be hard once you've established that kind of dynamic, but you can show a girl you're not to be fucked with after you've already shown her you are to be fucked with. In the case of Will Smith, he has to break it up with her, bro. Like, she cheated on him. That is an absolute 100% deal breaker. And I hope you guys will all apply that to your relationships moving forward. If she cheats on you, she's done. That is a blanket rule. But Alec Baldwin, he can get the power back slowly but surely. It would probably require a lot of training and case-by-case coaching. But yeah, he could do it as well as you guys can do it. So I'm just letting you know, man. Girls are going to fuck with you in the very beginning to test you. You need to show them you're not to be fucked with. You need to show them your boundaries. You need to control the frame. You need to want less than she wants. And most importantly, boys, you need to work on what's going on inside your head, because this is where all dysfunction starts. And this is where all dysfunction leads to when you haven't fixed your shit. It is going to manifest in your relationships. Relationships are the biggest litmus test of how much you've worked on yourself as a man and how much she's worked on herself as a woman. And I'm telling you, boys, I hate to give you the bad news, but if you want to get a high quality girl, you need to build the skill set to sift through hundreds of different girls to find the right one for you. That's just the way it is. Or you're going to end up marrying a girl who looks like a face transplant recipient from a canyon mule and fucking regret it for the rest of your life. One of the most important decisions you ever make is the woman who you settle down with. Do you have the skill set, belief systems, and self-work to be able to attract a girl that's up to your standards? If not, I'm here for you, man. Just click the link below and apply. But boys, stay tuned for Thursday. I have an awesome one dropping. It's actually an open letter to women from us men, letting women know all the things that we wish they would do to keep us happy. It's going to be an awesome one, so please stay tuned for that one, boys. As a reminder, I draw a podcast on Mondays and Thursdays, and I will see you in the next episode.